Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I hope you're all really good and looking after yourselves out there and staying cool. It's very, very hot in Ireland, which is quite strange. And we think we want it, then we get it, and then we have to come indoors because it's too hot. But anyway, it's a good opportunity to have a look at some stories that have been making the headlines and have got all of us talking. Even the mainstream media. This story here with Brigitte Macron. Candace Owen says this is proof that she is a man, that she's a trans. That she's pretending to be a woman, a man in drag. There's quite a bit to it. So do we believe that now? Now, you know that I had been through the Candace Owens transvestigation and I had found it wanting and I had put it all out for public scrutiny to see, well, what do you think? These two, Natasha Ray, she calls herself an independent journalist, but she's no body of work and she never shows her face. We've got this really weird photograph of her. Looks like she's on her summer holidays. So we don't hear from her. And then the other one was Amandine Roy, and she is a psychic medium. So they're the sources. So I thought, well, that in and of itself, this is bizarre. This is starting off weird. And I just found it peculiar that people weren't taking that on board. Because Candace Owens is brilliant with words, you know. I had pointed out she's married to a former president of the Bullingdon Club in Oxford. This should raise red flags, but again, it's not, okay? And I don't know why, but I'll continue to look at that. Now, is Brigitte Macron a man? Is she pretending to be a woman? Did she swap identities with her brother? I can't find any evidence that she did, okay? Now, I'm open to it. It's not like I want to protect them, right? I'm open to it, but it would have to be evidence-based. I've looked at the transvestigation that Candace Owens has done. I don't think it's a good transvestigation. I know she's sold loads of books. What's your man's name? Poussard, Xavier Poussard. He's the one really from Fait et Document. So she's using his work. So I think when this all finally collapses, I think it will. I mean, that's my take on it. I could be wrong. Maybe she is a bloke. I don't see her being a bloke. I see this woman being woman. My hunch, and again, I could be wrong, is that they're going to move towards some kind of internet restrictions in all of this. Now that the mainstream media have picked it up, why has this French court? Let me just go over to the story. So this is on France 24. French appeals court clears 2 over First Lady gender rumours. Okay, now everybody's going, is she a bloke? Is she a bloke? And we saw her in the UK with Macron. Things are getting weird between them. They don't seem to like each other anymore. And again, you'd wonder, is this put on? Remember the slap on the plane? Was that in Thailand? Is it put on? Is it an act? Is it real? Are we really seeing it? This is the way things are gone now. We're all questioning things. What's real? What's fake? What's put on? Are they laying it on thick for us with this story? Now it's hit the mainstream media. You've got to start asking questions. So disinformation on Macron's gender has circulated on social media for years. I think I think she's a woman, right? I've seen her in swimming togs, in photos at least. Looks like a woman to me. She's also been attacked over the 24-year age difference. Okay, then that we can understand. That makes more sense because it is really creepy, their relationship and the basis of their relationship. So I do understand that part. And I'm just wondering, is this going to be some kind of attention or a focus shift where it moves away from the pedo kind of vibes and onto poor Brigitte? She gets picked on the internet. We need tighter internet restrictions because she's called a man and look, she's actually a woman. And I'm just wondering, is there going to be some kind of grand finale where they show us that she is in fact a woman? Is this where this is leading up to? I mean, it's taking a long time. We have Candace Owens bragging. She's saying Piers Morgan owes her, is it 150,000 euro or dollars or whatever it is, in the bet. But so far, I'm not seeing proof. I'm thinking this is very peculiar because it is making it look like she's man. You know, the French courts aren't backing her up. But again, it could be political. So a strange one indeed. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing where it's all going to go. My work remains up on the internet. I've isolated all the bits of the Candace Owens transvestigation that I think, look, this shows this is a really dodgy investigation. She has Natasha Ray calling, who was it? Calling the in-laws, calling the relatives of Brigitte Macron in the middle of the night with false allegations at 3 a.m. in the morning. And for some strange reason, I'm the only one picking up on all this stuff. I just thought everybody was going to pick up on it and we'd all go, isn't that very odd? That's very peculiar. Instead, it wheels back on me and it's like, you're trying to protect the Macrons. Why would I try to protect the Macrons? Nothing to do with me. I still think it's all very peculiar, the whole thing. But I did find that transvestigations, I seem to be the only one picking up on all the weird stuff. I've put them out online for anybody to dissect and go over and add their tuppence worth. But people continue to ignore those bits and jump. Well, I think the current is so strong. The current is so strong for this one. Everybody's saying it. And then they test me. They say, well, do you think Michelle Obama is a woman? And I say, yeah. And then they go, well, we can't trust you at all. If you think Michelle Obama is a woman, we can't trust you at all. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but these are psyops. All right. These are, in my opinion, these are psyops. But I am open to being corrected. I'm open to being corrected. And isn't that what the internet is all about? So maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe she is a bloke in drag. There was let me just pull that up there again. I mean, it is, we've got this, another Macron critic found dead in France. Who's this one? The body of Olivier Marleux, a French conservative lawmaker, has been found at home in a suspected suicide. And we always question the suicides. Of course we do. A French senior lawmaker known for his staunch criticism of President Emmanuel Macron has been found dead at his home in what authorities say was a suicide. Olivier Marleux, a 54-year-old MP with the conservative Les Républicains party and long-time member of the National Assembly, was discovered hanged in an upstairs room. I mean, who knows? And then I need to find the other one. Now, there was the other one. There was fake. This is saying fake. Now, this is just Google it, so you never know. So fake. Brigitte Macron's personal doctor found dead in Paris, planned to reveal the First Lady's secret to press. Now, I had followed this and I was thinking, is this staged? What's going on here? This seems really weird. I'm not quite buying it. And again, I'm one of the only voices saying any of this. Right? I'm not buying it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, So anyway, the French media that spread this news and video was created by Russian propagandists. What's real, what's not. No other credible sources have been written about this incident. No, they haven't. All right, they haven't. So I do think we have to at least look at that. Okay, at the very least. A news story is circulating online that the personal surgeon of Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, was allegedly found dead in Paris. The doctor's relatives claim that he had no suicidal tendencies and suspect that he was murdered. He allegedly planned to give an interview to the press and tell the truth about Brigitte Macron, that the First Lady of France was supposedly born a man and made a gender transition. The news spread not only in Russian, but also in English, French, Spanish, Greek, Serbian, and numerous other languages. However, this is not real news, but a meticulously planned Russian propaganda campaign. The media, which all the publications cite, actually exist. Okay. According to the Urvoid service, the Enquête du Jour media site was created, on the 25th of June, 2025. Just a few days before the news spread. The page was filled with content in French on various topics to give the fake site credibility. In addition, the domain is not registered in France, which would make sense for French media, but in Germany, in the city of Frankfurt. Okay, so I just think we need to look at everything. And I know a lot of this, the debunking sites, are false. So this just adds another layer of confusion to the whole thing. But I would say tread carefully, especially with, when it comes to these big alternative media personalities with huge followings. It's very, very easy to get caught up and swept up in their propaganda. And I just think go cautiously and hold back. Now, just let's see. Let's go over to X. It's all happening on X at the minute. And I just thought this story was very weird. Dodgy story alert, pulling on your heartstrings. I know that sounds really cold considering what's going on in Gaza, but still. Next up, there'll be some new visa deal with Palestine. It starts with 33 children. 33 children. So let's just see what Mary Lou's saying on this.
To organise the 33 children from the West Bank and Palestine who are due to come here to Ireland to play hurling and football for 2 weeks have worked and trained so hard over the last year. It's now just awful, disgraceful, in fact, that their visas are being denied. GAA Palestine has worked hard to plan this trip, to fundraise for it, to organise host families and to organise matches and games for the children. So I'm appealing to Micheál Martin and Simon Harris, to the Irish government, to act with compassion, to act with decency, to ensure that these children and their chaperones get their visas and can come here to Ireland to enjoy our national games here.
Okay, so this is a really weird story. They're in the middle of a genocide. They're fighting for their lives. And this story about 33 children wanting to come over to play GAA, surely that's just way down the priority list. But again, appealing to our better nature. Of course, we want to help children. Who doesn't want to help children? I want to help with kids. I'd love to help. So that's our natural instinct, is trying to help people. We want to help. We like helping. So that's our natural instinct. We want to help. It's, as mothers as well, you want to go in and you want to pick up the babies, you want to help them. But we have to be very, very careful about being manipulated all over again. We're always manipulated, aren't we? And this story, again, the 33 is a bit of a giveaway here. And I just think there's going to be some deal now. There's going to be some twist to this with the visas. That's my hunch on it. That they're going to change the small print when it comes to visas and open up the floodgates, because we know that the plan is to move a lot of Palestinians over to Ireland as revenge. For recognising the genocide, for saying, hey, what's going on there is really bad, and for saying that out loud. When you say that out loud, it's like, well, you're going to pay for that, because you're not allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to disagree with Israel. Now, I've been making a few graphs and putting them into kind of poster form here, as a way for people just to assimilate the information and what happened in 2020, because I think people still don't quite understand. We have all over the mainstream media, well, of course, it's the complicit mainstream media. They're still talking about pandemic. And unfortunately, then that's being repeated. People are talking about a pandemic as if it really happened. Well, let's look at 2020, the year of the supposed pandemic. We have one peak in April 2020, okay, where it was 38% above EU average, right? Eurostat figures. And then we have the Medazzalam receipts. We know from Marcus de Bruin, that they were putting the elderly on end-of-life care. We know also from interviews at the time that they were putting them on, and I say care very loosely, that they were putting them on end-of-life drugs. And then they were calling it COVID-19. So that is not how a deadly airborne virus behaves. It doesn't just peak, in one area, in nursing homes, over the east of the country mainly. We have a virus that honours county borders, give me a break. So if people need to understand that, just look at it and say, well, that's really dodgy. We have the Medazzalam receipts. We know they were put on end-of-life drugs. So we know it was a scam. Once you know it was a scam, we can move on. We can go on to 2021, 2022. But it's really, really important that we understand 2020 and then also put it beside the reporting at the time. And then we get to see just how hyped up the whole thing was, and that they were scaremongering. And what was the end game? The end game was to get people injected, to frighten them enough so that they would roll up their sleeves when the time came and get injected. So we had Claire Byrne in her garden shed. And I've brought that up again, the whole garden shed thing. And I suppose people are like, what do you bring the garden shed thing up for again? And it's because it's just such a weird thing, for current affairs. It's a very strange thing that a current affairs presenter would end up in her garden shed telling us that it was a head cold she thought she had, right? With symptoms of a head cold she thought she had. And she ends up in her garden shed. Now, there's no explanation. Maybe it was her garden shed, right? She's never shown us the garden shed down the back. Could be. But there's been no proper explanation as to this spanking new garden shed. What was she doing in the garden shed? Like, this is a load of nonsense. March 2020, what was she doing there? Like, did she sleep in the garden shed? Did somebody have to come and feed her in the garden shed? What kind of form of isolation did it take? Was there a cameraman? Was there makeup? Her hair seemed to be done very well. And then to go back to the garden shed, was this just all about priming the way for us living in our garden sheds? It's where we are now. It's really weird. It's really peculiar. What was one of the highest paid current affairs presenters in RTE doing in her garden shed? This is really, really weird. And I don't think people have quite acknowledged just how screwed up it is with a cold. And then going back to studio, well, they would have had to hook up the whole thing. Was it her garden shed in her house? Was it a garden shed in Montrose? Where was the garden shed? Now, I have been corrected that's the internet for you. Put things out there. And and you know what? I've done this before with the markings. And of course, we have our sleuths who said, look, the marking there and the marking there, they're the exact same. And then I was looking at it and I'm thinking, well, maybe, yeah, okay, maybe they put a shelf in and maybe that's a mirror and then they varnished it. It could be the same garden shelf. So I'm open to that. That's when you put things up on the internet, put it out there, lay it on the table, and then you're open to scrutiny. Initially, I said, nah, they're just similar. But now I'm going, maybe, yeah, maybe actually. I would just love to know more about this garden shed. And I do think it's important. Why is it important? It's important because it's set off a train of events that has now seen 2 years straight of excess debts in Ireland. All right. 2 years straight of excess debts. And this is 2023, 2024 put together. We have these two who have scooted off. This lad wants to come back in the back door again and pretend like nothing's happened. We've got Dee Forbes who's ran away, right? And we know her mentor was depopulation enthusiast Ted Turner, right? He wants to depopulate the planet, whatever we're on here, Earth, by billions. And somehow she ended up in charge in RTE to oversee one of the biggest medical scams of all time. And since she's left, we've had these excess debts and she's nowhere to be seen and won't answer any questions, because we're being mean to her. So we're supposed to just ignore the excess debts. The mainstream media are ignoring them. Now, I've put up, these are official EU statistics, right? So I've put up these two tables for anybody. I've got them all. I've put them all out because you see the mainstream media aren't putting these out because they're covering their tracks because they're complicit in this genocide that we are witnessing, right? And replacement, right? We're seeing the people pouring in. So I think it's going to become more and more difficult for us to assess the excess debts from now on because the Irish Times have bought RIP.ie. RIP.ie feed their information to Eurostat as well as part of this. I think there's going to be more of a cover-up. So I think the information we have up to 2024 is probably the most reliable we have. And it is indicative of a huge problem, a huge excess death problem for the Irish since the rollout of these injections. And we have these people who, one has disappeared, one who wants to wheedle his way back into the Irish again. And why? Why is he so protected? Why is he so protected? It's because he won't flinch. He won't flinch. He won't admit to the excess debt like Claire Byrne. And that's why it's up to us. All right. It's why it's up to us to keep talking about it. Keep talking about the shed. What's she doing in their shed? Does she sleep in the shed? That's what I want to know. Did she bring the sleeping bag in the shed? Was the shed new? Was it some kind of deal with RTE? I am a little bit obsessed with the shed. I'm just like, this is really peculiar behaviour. It's most peculiar behaviour from a top paid RTE presenter. And what she's got one radio show now and she's still on the top money. This is ridiculous. Like, why are we paying for this? This woman, along with Ryan Tubridy, Dr. Ciara Kelly, we've gotten the names. Why are we being shy about it? Why are we being timid about this? What's happened is vile. What's happened is people have rolled up their sleeves. They've put an unknown substance into their bodies that could kill them under false pretenses. And we're supposed to play timid about it. We're supposed to play nice. Are you kidding me? But yeah, it could be the same with markings. It could be the same. Yeah, I know. I'm open to that now. This is why I love the internet. This is why I love it. Put it up on the table, ask, and then we have the not experts. We have the wood experts. We have a bit of a fight, and then somebody wins. If somebody's wrong and somebody's right. So I think I might be wrong on that one. I don't like it. I don't like being wrong, but that's all part of it, isn't it? Okay, so that is the crack. I'm going to leave you to it. I just wanted to go over those few things. Is there anything else? Let's just see if there's anything else before we go. Oh, yeah. So we have this one story. I do think this is actually quite important, this story. So this is Louise Rosengrave, and this is her tweet. Truth bombs. Report from Leinster House meeting is up. Are we allowed to talk about vaccine injuries now? We've been trying, right? Louise has gone, she's gone the more formal direction. I go a more informal direction on this. And she's covered this story brilliantly. I must say she's an excellent reporter. So this is a breakthrough of sorts. But again, it's up to the people to listen And if people continue to pretend there was a pandemic, if they're pretending to think, well, Claire Byrne was in her shed because she had, cough, cough, sniff, sniff, and that's okay, then they're not going to be open to this new information. They won't listen. They don't want to listen. They won't want to know. So it's going to be a matter of who's brave enough to listen, who's brave enough to face into what we're dealing with here. And, you're going to continue to listen to the people that initially lied and put out the false information to make sure that you and your family got injected. I would be hopping mad. I am hopping mad, you see. I am hopping mad because they've come for us. They've come for us. This is the time. So if you don't respond now, like, when are you going to respond? If not now, when? Because it could happen again. It could happen again, the next pandemic. And we saw what happened the last time. I think I wouldn't be taking this so seriously if I hadn't seen how stupid people were the last time and how quickly they fell into line and put themselves and their families in mortal danger by rolling up their sleeves, not even asking what's in that. Should I take it? Did the flu really disappear? I'm not quite trusting Claire Byrne in her garden shed. Did she actually sleep in the shed? Just normal questions, just critical thinking and being open to being wrong. That's fine. We can be wrong as well. That's okay. That's part of the discussion. It's part of the rough and tumble of it. We've all been conned. Everybody's been conned at some point in their life. It's okay. But we can help each other along the way, and we're going to have to at some stage. And that is the jabbed, the unjabbed. We're going to have to start working together at some point. Anyway, that was it. I just wanted to go over those few things. Have a lovely day. I hope we're going to get to enjoy the sunshine now a little bit later. It's too hot right now. And listen, we'll still continue enjoying life, right? But with a little bit more wisdom, with a little bit more knowledge, and swapping notes and cross-referencing and make sure we have our facts right. All right, take care. Bye-bye.